Okay.
Well, y'all know me, Luana Nissan. It's great to be with you.
And I'm Lisa Pyron, and I work with Luana and support both K-Kids and Builders Club and Action Club programs.
And I'm Becky Matson. I'm the Wisconsin Upper Michigan K-Kids District Administrator. And the nice thing for me is in my division is the new Builders Club Administrator. So we're already kind of teaming so it's a good thing.
Becky, can you remind us who that is?
It is Fred Dietz.
That's right. Okay.
He's a past international trustee.
That's right. We've talked to Fred a few times.
Yeah, and he just the funny thing was he happened to say, I might be interested in doing that, and I ratted him out to the incoming governor, and he went and talked to him right away at DCON. So,
rest is history.
Yeah, otherwise, what happens? They look at the K-Kids administrator and say, "Oh, can you do both builders stuff?" I know this, so. But it's all good. We're friends, so it's not a problem.
I'm Sandy Howard with the Texas Oklahoma District, and I'm the DA for K-Kids, new to the position.
Yay! Welcome, Sandy.
And I'm Michelle Shilton, Program Director for Kiwanis Youth Programs, so helping to leverage and coordinate between all of our different club lines, including Builders, K-Kids, Action, Key Club, CKI. So thanks for joining us tonight.
So it's interesting. It's great to have you here, Becky, and you here, Sandy. You have such different levels of kind of involvement, or you have different levels of experience as administrators. So hope that you'll share. We have some kind of thoughts around club growth and some recommendations to share with you about strategies and places there where you might find some leverage. But of course, we'd really like for you to share any questions or any thoughts. So we're going to go ahead and go through, and there's a couple of prompts, but if at any point you want to stop, please do stop us, and so that you can either ask questions or make or share advice. We're actually going to start with that. So what have you found challenging in trying to grow new K-Kids clubs?
Well, I've only had about an hour and a half to, it's not exactly been a long time to be able to do growth. But the one thing I feel like is going to be an issue is communicating with the finding the clubs that actually want to consider having a K-Kids. And I think I have sourced out, perhaps, I'm not sure that they'll release the information to me, but I need emails for all the presidents and secretaries of every club in the Texas Oklahoma District. And I have the addresses. I sent out an email to all of the administrators or the faculty advisors and Kiwanis advisors, whoever's email was there. And I would say close to half of them bounced back to me.
Oh,
so and I had, dug them out of the various reports and things I could find and entered them in my computer. So I was not a little disappointed. I was quite disappointed because, that's a time consuming task, and I have had, no one responded with even thank you or good to get your, there was no response at all. The only responses were those that bounced back.
Yeah,
so that's a little disheartening.
One of the problems I think sometimes is the security set about by school districts when emails come in. And that's why I'm trying to change some of my approach and trying to communicate with lieutenant governors in the division in hopes that will help me to connect more with clubs that might be interested or who have clubs. So, you know, one advantage I have right now as lieutenant governor is I can pull stuff up, you know, from the district, and I can find out who all the club officers are, who has currently have service leadership programs. But it's really trying to, you know, the secretaries in the clubs are the key ones to maybe connect with, to make sure you can then trace what is the correct contact for the Kiwanis advisor. And then sometimes it's them reaching out to those faculty advisors.
Thanks for those
And-
Yeah.
recommendations, Becky, and thank you for Sandy for sharing that really real issue. Lisa, were you going to say something?
Oh, yes, I was going to let Sandy know that now that you're a district administrator, when you go into Kiwanis Connect and that portal, you can download, and you'll see an area where it says reports. And when you click on it, it will download a Excel document with either Kiwanis advisors for the clubs in your district. That's one of the reports. The other one is for faculty advisors for the clubs in your district. So we may have more updated information now that we're a little further into the year. But if you have a problem with that, let me know. I'll run the reports for you and send them to you so you have the most updated information. Some may still not go through, or you may get some bounce backs, but let us know. And we can connect with the Kiwanis advisor and say, hey, we need updated information. What's your faculty advisor's updated email? So, you know, we can help with some of this.
Lisa, I think what I heard you saying, Sandy, was that when you're trying to reach out to the Kiwanis clubs themselves to see if they're interested, is that what you were saying? Not schools, but Kiwanis clubs, to see if they're interested in sponsoring?
Right. I mean, I have not done that yet. The email I sent out was to all of the addresses I could come up with for
Oh,
faculty advisors and Kiwanis advisors.
okay.
And
Okay.
so it just basically it's a new year and I'm the new DA and you know that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think that that's my plan, is to do something to the secretaries and presidents asking if the clubs,
Mhm.
you can't, I don't think you can spread yourself that thin to focus on every club in the district. And so I need to find those that might have an interest and see if I can't work closer with them to make something actually happen.
And we'll talk a little bit about that. But to go back to those bounce backs, Lisa's being kind, but what we hope, I am so sorry. But what we hope is that you might use that information and follow up with that information. If you get a bounce back and it's a Kiwanis Club secretary, then there's an opportunity to then contact the school. I said Kiwanis Club secretary. I'm sorry, Kiwanis advisor, the faculty advisor, and find out if that Kiwanis advisor is left, right? So it's a pair in some cases, but not all clubs have both.
Mhm.
But hopefully you can help us in your districts, because there's 1,100, 1,200 clubs. Help us kind of update information, because that doesn't always get updated.
Right.
And one of the ways to update information, and maybe an easier way, is to reach out to all the Kiwanis club secretaries that are sponsoring the clubs in your district, and let them know that there's old information in the system, and if they could please update the faculty and Kiwanis advisors contact name and information for the clubs they sponsor. That might be much easier than you reaching out to all of them and us reaching out to all the clubs in our in the
Correct.
system.
And we
So-
do that in the beginning of the year, right? We contact every club secretary. It's time to renew. This is the information we need about your sponsored club. But unfortunately, sometimes it doesn't all get updated.
Yeah, and we send a request to them. It's an email request, but it's a little different than you reaching out to them. And that's also a way to find out which clubs may be interested in sponsoring other SLPs. Like, I would think that In working with schools, the person who holds the keys is usually the assistant to the principal, you know. So I would imagine, Becky, am I wrong that that one of the people who hold the keys are the Kiwanis Club secretaries, and they got lots of information, right?
Right, right. And
Yeah.
I know the biggest challenge always in the schools, especially post-COVID,
Oh,
is
yeah.
if you had a club before, you know, getting reactivated. And a big glitch is the pressure that's been put on teachers post-COVID for academic, you know, raising the bar for
Right.
kids. And so there's a higher stress level with staff. And sometimes the challenge is then getting that faculty advisor on board. So
Well-
that's why in our district too, we're trying to give people the idea of some options of community locations that you can also start clubs.
Great idea. We're actually going to touch on a few of the things that you've already talked about. So, so really about starting new clubs, while there are many people that can get clubs started, district administrators are the primary drivers responsible for opening and supporting new clubs through the chartering process and then beyond. So what's needed to start a K-Kids? A school, youth organization, library, or community site that will host the club and also provide a faculty advisor. Secondly, we recommend that at least, and we also recommend that at least 15 students of primary or elementary school age will serve as members. That's the recommendation. Some clubs start smaller, but 15 or more can help the club have robust life, lots of activities for the different things that students can choose to do. Finding a local Kiwanis club or sponsor to sponsor a new K-Kids club is preferred, but not the only option. That club would pay the charter and annual renewal fees for the SLP. It will also provide a Kiwanis advisor to assist with activities. And this is really important, to be the liaison to the sponsoring Kiwanis club. Yesterday, we had this same training and chat for Builders Club, and one of our DAs said that they had reached out to all of the Builders Clubs in their district, and that it looks like half of them do not have Kiwanis advisors. And so a Kiwanis advisor is a really, is a kind of a key role to help communication between the club and the club site and the Kiwanis club, right? To keep up communication between them and to get information that needs to go to the sponsoring Kiwanis club. For instance, to help them get their program kit materials early in the year and many other things. So anyway, if there are ways for you to encourage Kiwanis advisors to be recruited by your clubs, that's a good thing. So sometimes there will be clubs that do not have a Kiwanis club sponsoring Kiwanis club, and in that case, the host site would pay its own fees when it's not possible. So they would pay their own fees, and they'll need some extra help from you. The host site's leadership must be informed about Kiwanis's youth protection policies and insurance for off-campus activities. That's important, and it's important for them to understand those things and to agree to them. Strategic places to grow clubs. We were talking about, like, where do you invest your time? You can be intentional about spending your new club recruitment efforts in a really focused way. Here are some examples of places that could lend great promise, where K-Kids clubs are missing in school districts that already have key clubs or builders clubs. and where the district superintendent and principals know about the success of those clubs. That can be a great place to appeal to the district to start K-Kids clubs. And we actually just had a couple of different administrators and advisors share stories of where Key Club helped pitch the creation of builders clubs in their district, because they want students to have the opportunity to get service leadership experience before they go into high school, or where builders clubs and Key clubs were appealing to in a district to start K-Kids clubs. So having student voice and the principals for those schools where those programs are successful is more cachet than someone that the school district doesn't know coming in and making a pitch, right? So using those resources can really help. Where school districts don't have service or leadership development programs, but you can offer a ready-made program, can be really beneficial. Also, particularly school districts that have standards or requirements around community engagement or youth civics. And that would be something that the Department of Education could share with you, whether there are any requirements around that in your school districts. Youth organizations or community centers that have young members that may be interested in K-Kids because they have some leadership, but they don't have service, or they have some service, but they don't have leadership, and they're really, and they don't have the resources to create a program and develop it. So kind of a ready-made program that has a international affiliation may look really attractive to them. Finally, in communities where Kiwanis clubs are active and well known, and they have a reputation, they may be much more likely to recognize the importance of Kiwanis and the success of Kiwanis, and that might open the doors in schools, organizations, or potential sites. So if you think you've got a district that covers a really big, big area, but there's specific Kiwanis clubs that are large and well known and get lots of press, those communities, if they don't already have this, a K-Kids club, they may be much more likely to consider it in their youth organizations or their schools.
Can I share something from my division? What we've learned too, even
Yes.
working with Fred, is that if your Kiwanis club is interested in starting an SLP but doesn't have any yet, a good place to start is at the K-Kid level, because once you get those kids involved, then they're going to want that next level. And then you've got some data for people to say, hey, this is why we need to start a builders club. And then you can move to that high school, Key Club level. So, that's one way to look at it too, if you don't have builders club or Key Club yet.
That's
Our
great.
club basically used that, except in reverse. We had a 50-60, it was in existence, Key Club when my husband was in high school. So our Key Club went back, and so we worked backwards from there. We went to the Builders Club junior high, then to the Builders Club at the middle school, and then to our 2K Kids clubs. So because exactly, and they feed each other, they help feed membership in, and so that's I think a great idea. It worked well for us. So.
That is,
Yeah, because
Okay.
I know 5 of our 8 officers for Key Club at Memorial High School here, that my club sponsors, 5 of those 8 kids are my past K-Kids members from Robbins when I was teaching, and faculty advisors. So it does prove, and kids are wanting to. So either way works, like you said, Sandy.
up or down.
Yep.
Yep.
That's great. So it may be worth your kind of focusing on places where you can leverage interest more. It may be worth your time to think about seeking out those Kiwanis clubs that would be more likely to be interested or have the resources, right? So here some to think about. Clubs that sponsor a builders club or a key club, just like kind of with the schools, they sponsor those, but they may be interested in kind of adding a K-Kids so that they can help kids from primary or elementary school all the way through high school. Kiwanis clubs that serve primary or elementary schools already as volunteers because they sponsor terrific kids or bugs in the schools. And do you know what those programs are, Sandy?
Yes, I do. I sometimes feel like that Kiwanis pushes those more than they do K-Kids and Builders Club, and I am a huge fan of the SLPs, and so we did a bug program for a while. I honestly could not see that the school reanalyzed it at the end of the year, could not see that much difference, and so we dropped that, but.
And they have a different focus, right? So, and we're going to talk about all the ways that actually K-Kids could be appealing. And some of it is around, helping, engagement helps with motivation around educational attainment or academic attainment, right? So, okay. Kiwanis clubs with members that are current or retired teachers. Well, we know how that works. we got one in the room, at least one. So they can be great advocates. So if you know of any members, they can really help pitch to the Kiwanis club to sponsor new K-Kids. It's important to share the benefits to recruit Kiwanis clubs. So here are just a few of the benefits to them. Yes, inherent in what in the kind of previous information, of course, it could be seen beneficial to really cover all of the club lines so that they're offering kids in their communities engagement at each level, from primary school through secondary or through high school, right? But here are three other ways to think of it. Helping the Kiwanis Club understand that there are great benefits to gain for their membership from sponsoring and being involved with an SLP. They gain opportunities for service that they wouldn't necessarily have if they engage with service activities and fundraising activities with the clubs, or they invite them into their activities, right? So like a pancake breakfast where they invite members from the K-Kids in to help out with it. And that also gives them intergenerational engagement, which is really attractive to some members that may not have grandchildren around or their kids don't yet have children to interact with, or they're more on their own, or for all kinds of reasons, but intergenerational. It gives them the Kiwanis Club a stronger connection and relationship to the different to the community's young people, as well as their parents, right? Other adults that could become Kiwanians. And to the institutions that the kids are in, like schools or youth organizations. And then it also builds the Kiwanis Club's visibility, its reputation, and its leadership in the community, because it's reaching out and working with young people, right, and sponsoring their growth. So really important, and we kind of paid attention to this in revising the club program materials for K-Kids and for Builders Club. We've emphasized the role of skills and learning in club experiences in those materials and in our language that we're using around the programs a little bit more. Because among the biggest changes in K-12 education over the last 15 years has been a significant refocusing away from memorizing content to building skills. As members participate in our club, SLP club activities and events, they develop and continue to build really important social and emotional skills that will help them in life, that help them in club life, that will help them in life, that will help them in school, and beyond. It's really important to be able to talk about that and to use the language that schools use as you're approaching, principals and superintendents, and to understand and talk about this, both the soft skills and the hard skills. And by that, here are some examples. For instance, a soft skill would be empathy. A soft skill is teamwork. A soft skill is communication. A hard skill is project planning, goal setting, fundraising, and being able to make a pitch, right? Organizing a project. So all of that, those are really important skills that our clubs teach that are good to talk about. And one of the areas as well that schools have been talking about, and especially since the pandemic, because of kind of the mental illness crisis that are facing youth today, is self-understanding, self-love, engagement instead of isolation. So kind of the emotional aspects, the emotional aspects and the self-understanding aspects of the programs and of the materials that we've and activities we're recommending are really important. And that's good to talk about as well when you're talking with schools. So lean into the learning, lean into the self-understanding, and kind of speak their language around skills. It's of course always a great thing to talk about how K-Kids benefit the communities when you have conversations about creating new clubs with schools or other types of partner organizations, host sites. Among these are really talking about how clubs fill real needs in the community, and they improve the communities that they're in through their contribution of time and time, money, and then other types of resources like food and books and other things that go to organizations. How they raise awareness about community issues and causes as a part of that work. So advocacy is part of service, and educating about causes, and like organizations like their local food pantry or animal shelters. So it's good to kind of have those examples as you talk about in detail about how a club could benefit a school or an organization. They increase educational attainment and decrease detrimental behavior as kids find a place where they belong and where they can express their interests and use their skills and feel valued. And they also help organizations in the community as they benefit from that connection. And you know that about the cost of sponsoring a K-Kid, so it's good to be able to just share that. So you're both in North America, so it's $300 for chartering fees and $215 for annual dues. Another kind of final piece of information to share as you approach and talk with educational leaders or organizational leaders, why is it beneficial for them to adopt our program rather than kind of create their own service club? Because they can create their own service club, right? There's international affiliation. There's ready-made program materials that are based on high quality service and leadership, right? Leadership development. there is a network of clubs and colleagues that they can share challenges with and get ideas from. And then there are all the ways that Kiwanis International supports clubs. Oh, I'm so sorry. That says Builders Club. Sorry. Supports clubs. So there's the advisor training that we provide. There are the program kit materials that we provide. There are website resources. There's also other kind of resources that they have access to and that they may use or they may not use, like liability insurance. And that's actually that has a pretty significant cost. So when advisors leave campus with their clubs, liability insurance takes over and covers incidences that can happen off campus or out of the organization and in the community. We also are very serious about youth protection. And so there's a cost to providing youth protection training and requiring it. There are staff that support that, both background checks and youth abuse prevention training. So there's quite a bit of support from Kiwanis International for these clubs. And that can be a selling point as well for organizations or schools, especially districts that you approach. So those are kind of all the benefits and the ways, that we suggest you might try approaching both institutions that you want to be host sites, as well as Kiwanis clubs that you hope will sponsor, right? And we actually wonder what approaches you might have used to gain some traction in schools or organizations as you're trying to ask them to charter a K-Kids. Or ideas, Sandy, that you might have around that.
Well, for us, I mean, we have typically just gone to the principal. And so that's, as far as, once we got, the Key Club was established long before I was in the club, and we had that as a background, but we've never had a principal not be interested in having a K-Kids. And the school system pays a stipend to our faculty advisors. And when Oklahoma struggled, as if we don't always, with funding for a couple of years, we paid it, our club paid it, but typically the school system pays it. So, and it's just, the only bad thing, I guess, about that is that it certainly puts the school in charge. And occasionally we have gotten faculty advisors that were less than adequate. But overall, right now I've got a great bunch. We have 5 SLPs, and we have a great bunch of faculty advisors, and the elementary, I'm not sure that both of the K-Kids advisors get a stipend, because one has kind of all the teachers in the 5th grade are part of it, and I know they don't all get paid.
No, that's right. Yeah. There might be a lead one, or no, is it even?
There might be, right now the counselor is taking the lead this year, so I would imagine that she is getting it, or at least was offered it. But I know the Key Club and Builders Club all.
Is that Texas or Oklahoma?
Oklahoma.
You're Texas and Oklahoma, isn't that your district?
Right. The district is the Texas-Oklahoma district. I'm in Oklahoma.
Okay.
Yeah, and it might vary from school district to school as far as what they do. But even in just for what I've done, or my experience in my own community, is that at the elementary level, there was never anything set up. I mean, I even had a drama club for years as a volunteer because I wanted to get the kids involved. So the key at the elementary level for us is at the Kiwanis Club, they didn't give you a stipend, but they made you a club, a Kiwanis member with all the, advantages to being a Kiwanian, which are a lot. And so then their dues were covered by the club. So there was no cost to that advisor. At our Builders Club level, it was a partnership coordinator at the middle school level where it was built into that was just something she did in her job, and the school kind of covered that. And at the high school level, when I met with the principal this spring, he talked about that he was on the committee where they were looking at leadership opportunities that staff were working to develop leadership in students. And so that they would then have some perks for those faculty advisors on top of what we were doing. And so I did get a new Key Club advisor this year. So I'm like, but one of the things when I was meeting with the club this year, as a lieutenant governor meeting with the club, they said the biggest challenge is, sometimes that buy-in by a district, depending on the district. And the key always is, talking to administration. And for some communities that might be the superintendent and letting them know, here's what this is all about. We used to have superintendents as club members, which helped.
Oh, wow.
But specifically, like Sandy was saying, is the principals, you have to, because it's really about service to the school if you're in a school too, not just, outreach. And so, and even though you don't have the whole school in club, those club members lead and build projects that the whole school can get involved in. So it's really important to look at what the school's focuses are as well.
I remember, just to kind of chime in on that. So I'm in a Kiwanis club, and one of the clubs had invited, it was this Pike Township superintendent had spoke at the club, and he was just a phenomenal speaker. And I think he made the rounds to most of the Kiwanis clubs in that area. And most of them did service with that school. We had a builders club, we had a key club, several key clubs within that district. So, yeah, maybe I don't know, a thought, some of our Kiwanis clubs inviting superintendents to participate or speak at club meetings to let them know what's going on and then the Kiwanis clubs can actually figure out where they can help. It may not be, maybe they start with something else and then it becomes sponsoring a service leadership program in the school eventually. I don't know. I think there are different ways we can get in. Sometimes we don't think about that. Just doing service with the school first.
Our superintendent is a member of our club, and
awesome.
He pays his own dues. But we pay the dues for one member from each of the schools where we have an SLP.
Oh, okay.
And so it is either the principal or the faculty advisor.
Wow.
And in our middle school, we have 2 faculty advisors, and they have been long time advisors. And so we pay for both of their dues to be, the problem is that none of them can be active.
Right.
Teachers can't get out of the classroom to come to meetings.
Yeah.
Most of the time they have got umpteen other things that they are doing that, they can't even do much in the way of volunteer stuff. Occasionally they will do something with their SLP that we can join together and do it as a joint activity. Our 2 builders clubs and our key club helped us with our pancake day last Friday.
Oh.
And we had 40 kids serving. And I mean, we honestly, especially after COVID, where we lost so many members, we honestly could not have pulled it off without them. They are just amazing, and we used to have the K kids there occasionally, but they're a little too much. You know, you get elementary, 4th and 5th grade running all over the place, and we had the others there as well. And so it was too many kids, and those were too young, and they were, they would end up, pushing and shoving, trying to be the first one to greet somebody or get their plate of pancakes for them. And so we eliminated the K kids from being servers. So
Well,
Our-
it's
our
funny
yeah.
because some clubs have 1st grade through 5th grade.
yes.
So that's
Yeah, our
young.
the elementary school, we have a 5th grade in our largest elementary school because it is so large, and we, as a club, couldn't afford to. And the teachers were like, and then the other school has 4th and 5th. It's a smaller school, and so
that's not uncommon. There are a number of clubs we think like that. That's
Yeah.
a 4th grader, 4th and 5th, because it's a good leadership and opportunity as they prepare for middle school and as they're leaders of the school that they're in.
Well, and those younger kids then are like, when I'm in 3rd grade or when
That's
I'm
right.
in 5th grade, I can be a baby.
exactly.
So we saw a lot of that, but yeah,
Boy, that's your own built-in recruitment.
yeah, and
Yeah.
our K kids have continued to help at our pancake feed, but they're at a certain location. And I'm always I supervise, or sometimes it's a key clubber supervising or hanging with. So we have that mix. But the other, I keep remembering something that I forget. Oh, the other thing that a club, an active club member from another Eau Claire club had said to me was that, well, Becky, not every club has a Becky in it. The key is what that was all about was, you have to have somebody in the club that cares enough about the SLPs to educate the club members, to get out in the community and work with those kids. I needed extra volunteers at church for community table. And I go to the K kids and say, hey, I can't get enough adults. Can you help at community table? So I even have key clubbers helping in the community, helping me help through another organization even. So
That's
those
great.
kids have been great. They just really do a lot.
And you mean as a Kiwanis advisor?
Well, as a church member, so I'm a key club advisor for that club. So I have an opportunity where my church has not, they sponsor, so there's no cost to the key clubs who they wanted to come and help at community table. When our Kiwanis club does it, it's during the day when they're in school. So this is an evening meal on the 3rd Tuesday, and then I'm there. So there's a Kiwanian there, and then they come and they volunteer along some of those other community members.
Awesome.
Oh, thank you for sharing. I mean, it's really illuminating to hear both kind of what's happening in your districts, and it's not just for K kids, but also what's been successful and some challenges that you have. It's always good to hear your stories. So thank you very much. And of course, we'd love to, we're here to help and support in any way. And here's our contact information. Both of you have been in touch with us. So I don't think you really need it, but Lisa and I are here to support you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us this evening.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you for your
Oh,
time.
thank you. Thanks for all you do.
Yeah. Have a good evening.
Thanks, you too.
Bye, everyone.